You might think the path to heaven requires quiet meditation and studying ancient texts, but imagine being told that you'd get closer to the divine by stepping onto a football pitch. That statement came from a monk, specifically Swami Vivekananda, a leader who viewed the physical body and the mind as battlegrounds for self-mastery. To understand why he said this, look at India in the late 19th century. Under British colonial rule, the younger generation was deeply demoralized, chained by the daily realities of an occupied nation. Preaching passive acceptance to a population already on its knees would achieve nothing. The country required a radical redefinition of what it meant to be strong. Long before he became a monk, he was Narendranath Datta, an affluent student at Presidency College. He consumed Western logic and philosophy alongside ancient Eastern scriptures. From a very young age, he had a habit of testing everything himself. His father, a successful attorney, kept separate smoking pipes for his Hindu and Muslim clients. Young Narendranath casually took a puff from both, concluding to his shocked father that the pipes were identical. That same questioning mind applied to religion. He joined multiple spiritual groups, but quickly grew frustrated because none of their leaders could logically prove that God actually existed. He had mastered Western rationality. Blind faith was off the table. Any spiritual awakening he experienced would have to be rooted in hard, verifiable truth. He finally took his ultimate question to the mystic saint Sri Ramakrishna. He asked him flat out, "Have you seen God?" Ramakrishna didn't hesitate. He answered yes, stating he had seen God as clearly as he saw the young student standing in front of him. That conviction hooked him, but soon after, his life fractured. His father died suddenly, leaving the family completely stripped of their wealth. The university student was thrust into absolute destitution. He experienced starvation firsthand, wandering the streets for work while fending off greedy relatives trying to seize his home. In his darkest moment, his guru sent him to a temple to pray for relief, but standing before the deity, he refused to ask for money or food. Instead, he asked for wisdom and the ability to renounce his worldly attachments. Living through that poverty shaped his entire worldview. He popularized the concept of Daridra Narayan, arguing that preaching philosophy to a starving man is a hollow act. The first true act of religion is to provide bread. He took the name Vivekananda and spent years wandering the country on foot. He slept in the homes of destitute peasants and the palaces of kings, vowing to lift up his fellow citizens. That vow eventually took him across the globe. On September 11, 1893, he walked onto the stage at the Parliament of the World's Religions in Chicago, serving as an ambassador for Hinduism. He opened his speech with just 5 words: "Sisters and Brothers of America." The simple, egalitarian sincerity of that greeting triggered a massive 2-minute standing ovation from an audience of 7,000 people. He introduced the crowd to Advaita Vedanta. This philosophical framework argues for an intrinsic unity between individual human beings and the universal divine. By framing Hinduism as a rational science of the mind, he challenged the West to see India not as a colonial backwater, but as a source of essential insight. He proposed a trade. India would learn from the West's organizational and technological strength, provided the West looked east for internal clarity. Returning cunning to Mihiro's welcome, he established the Ramakrishna Mission in 1897 to ensure his teachings were grounded in concrete institutional action. He championed a concept called practical Vedanta. He believed spirituality didn't belong isolated in Himalayan caves. It needed to be applied to the friction of everyday life. He utilized selfless action to wage war on social evils. He actively fought against untouchability and openly advocated for intercaste marriages to stitch a divided society back together. Under practical Vedanta, performing your civic duty fearlessly is elevated to a spiritual act. It applies equally to a student at a desk, a worker on a factory floor, or a leader managing a country. This relentless pace destroyed his health. Battling severe asthma, he predicted he wouldn't live past the age of 40. On July 4, 1902, at age 39, he passed away. But his teachings left behind a doctrine of fearlessness. He repeated one truth constantly: strength is life, and weakness is death. He challenged the youth to forge muscles of iron and nerves of steel. His mandate was clear: arise, awake, and stop not till the goal is reached. He didn't just aim to reform a religion. He left a philosophy where the highest spiritual act was feeding the hungry, and the ultimate measure of a human being was the strength to act without fear.